Hello, I'm Andrea. I can remember as a young teenager having several encounters with Jesus, which I held in my heart and I believe to be true always, I think. But when I left home, I got into the pleasures of the flesh, and they're not called pleasures for nothing, and I do like a bit of pleasure. So I was tonking along with doing that, and I was very happy. I was living with a guy who unexpectedly became a Christian, which threw a spanner in the works. So my mum then basically nagged me until I agreed I'd become a Christian. She just kept saying, you know, John's a Christian and Dad, make Dad happy and all the rest of it, until in the end I said, all right. It wasn't attached to any feeling, but it was real. I think my assent to it, God took that as a deal, and it was a little bit like changing from the Dockers to the Eagles or something. Like the reality of it has grown and grown over time. As my life's proceeded, it's become more and more real, and the questions that I had about it have largely been resolved. The good thing is that my impression of Christianity was that you had to pretty much stop having pleasure, was completely wrong. People tend to focus on the no sex, drugs and rock and roll, but that's not the truth. It's really, the focus is not about your behaviour, but about relationship with Jesus.
How you going? My name's Aaron. I guess my faith journey, I grew up in a Christian home. I was always taught about Jesus and always went to church growing up. And I always believed it to be real, I think. But I think for me, I was living the faith of my upbringing for most of my childhood life. And it wasn't until I became probably 18, 19, 20 that I realised I had to make a distinct commitment for myself, whether I was going to continue to just live my parents' salvation or whether I was going to take it on board and live it for myself. Initially, I sort of made a commitment and like, this is real, and you go to church on a Sunday and you sort of, you know, live as you normally would during the rest of the week. But I think the last few years for me, I think my faith has deepened and it's sort of grown into more of a daily, Jesus, I need you daily. I need to pray and seek and read the word daily as more of a friendship.
My faith underpins everything that I do. I'm pretty much aware of relationship with Jesus at all times now. And sometimes it's a background awareness, and at other times I'm concentrating or listening or talking to him. But I'm aware, like when you've got a little kid, you're constantly aware of where they are and what they're doing, and you're not necessarily focused on them, but your awareness is there. And so it affects every single thing that I say and do all the time now.
I think I've learnt over the years to depend on Jesus a lot more as like a real friend and a real counsellor, rather than just someone that lived thousands of years ago in a book. My faith has become more solid, and I find myself going to Jesus a lot more frequently when times are good, but also when times are difficult and there's challenges in life.
There is always hope. So when things go wrong, there's still bad times to be endured. You are enduring them with somebody, which is nice, somebody who understands, which is good, but you still have to endure. And the other thing is the knowledge that it won't always be like this. There will come a time when there is no hard times.
I would probably encourage you can't just dabble on the edges. If Christianity is going to be real, you need to be all in, I think. I get frustrated when I hear people say, Christianity wasn't for me, I tried it. I've lived that myself, particularly growing up. sort of dabbled and gone, oh yeah, I'll associate with Christianity, but not necessarily be all in. It doesn't work. Jesus is real and Jesus is authentic, but it needs to be all in you. It's almost like a committed relationship, I think. And for me, I've found the deeper that I've gone into my relationship with Jesus, the more real it's become. Jesus is real. Everywhere you look, creation itself just screams a creator. So yeah, my encouragement would be, if you are searching, look into Christianity, study it, pull it apart, see if it's real, but commit and go all in.
My experience has been that it's life-enhancing now. It's changed me as a person for the better, but it's also changed my experience of life for the better. And not only that, but there's a whole nother conversation to be had around our hope for a future, a resurrected future after we die. And there's just really not a downside.